The mall bustled with last-minute shoppers, holiday music filling the air as Michael Thompson clutched his daughter's small hand, navigating through the crowd. That's when he saw her, Catherine, his ex-wife, standing by the grand Christmas tree. Their eyes locked across the distance, 5 years of silence hanging between them. Before he could retreat, their daughter Emma broke free, running toward her mother with outstretched arms. "Family whole," the 4-year-old declared, her innocent voice cutting through years of resentment like a knife through butter. 2 simple words that would unravel everything they thought they knew about love, loss, and second chances. If you're feeling that tug at your heartstrings already, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more touching stories that remind us of what truly matters in life. Your support means everything to us. Michael hadn't planned on spending Christmas Eve at the crowded mall. As a single father raising Emma alone since she was just 6 months old, he'd learned to be organized, methodical even. But the special doll Emma had circled in the catalog, the one Santa was supposed to bring, had mysteriously disappeared from his hiding place in the garage. So here they were, fighting through waves of shoppers, his anxiety mounting with each passing minute. "Daddy, my feet hurt," Emma complained, her chestnut curls bouncing as she looked up at him with Catherine's eyes, the same warm hazel that once looked at him with love, then later with disappointment, and finally with nothing at all. "Just a little longer, Princess," Michael promised, his voice strained. "Santa needs to make sure you get your special gift." At 35, Michael's face carried the weathered lines of someone who had learned to be both mother and father, who stayed up late finishing project reports only to rise early to make heart-shaped pancakes and braid hair before school. The last 5 years hadn't been easy. After Catherine left when Emma was just a baby, claiming she wasn't ready for motherhood, that their marriage had been a mistake, Michael had thrown himself into being the perfect father. His own parents helped when they could, but they lived 3 states away. His world had narrowed to his daughter and his work as an architectural designer, which thankfully allowed him to work from home most days. Emma tugged at his hand, pointing excitedly at the enormous Christmas tree in the center of the mall. "Look, Daddy. It's so pretty." That's when time seemed to stop. Standing there, adjusting an ornament on the lower branches, was Catherine. She looked different, her once long blonde hair now cut in a stylish bob, her frame slightly thinner, but unmistakably the woman who had walked out of their lives half a decade ago. Michael froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. He hadn't heard anything from Catherine in years, not since she'd signed away her parental rights in exchange for a clean break. No child support, no visitation, no messy entanglements. She had moved across the country to pursue her career in fashion design, something that had always taken precedence over their marriage. Before he could turn away or shield Emma, his daughter's eyes followed his gaze. Something shifted in her expression, a recognition that shouldn't have been possible. Emma had been too young when Catherine left to remember her. Michael kept a single photo of Catherine tucked away in his desk drawer, but Emma had never seen it. "Mommy?" Emma whispered, the word falling from her lips like a question. Michael's blood ran cold. How could she know? He'd told Emma that her mother lived far away, working on important things. He never spoke ill of Catherine, believing someday Emma would ask more questions and deserve honest, if gentle, answers. Before Michael could react, Emma slipped from his grasp and darted through the crowd toward Catherine. "Emma, wait," he called out, panic rising in his throat as he pushed through irritated shoppers to catch up. Catherine looked up at the sound of running feet, her expression transforming from casual interest to shock as the little girl approached. Emma stopped just short of Catherine, looking up with curious eyes that were so much like her mother's. "Are you my mommy?" Emma asked, her voice small but clear amid the Christmas music and chatter. Catherine's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes instantly filling with tears. She looked over Emma's head to Michael, who had finally caught up, his face a complex mixture of apology, defensiveness, and old pain. Catherine began, then knelt to Emma's level. "Yes, I am," she said softly. Michael watched the interaction with a hollow feeling in his chest. He'd imagined this scenario countless times, the day Emma might meet her mother, but never like this, never by accident in a crowded mall on Christmas Eve with no time to prepare either of them. Emma studied Catherine's face with an intensity that seemed beyond her years. Then, with the simple logic of childhood, she took Catherine's hand and then reached for Michael's, pulling them closer together. "Family whole," she said firmly, looking between them with a smile of pure satisfaction. 2 words. So simple. Yet they hung in the air between Michael and Catherine like a question, an accusation, and possibly, though neither was ready to admit it, a hope. Catherine's eyes met Michael's over their daughter's head. "I didn't know you still lived in the area," she said quietly. "We never left," Michael replied, his voice rougher than he intended. "This is Emma's home." An awkward silence fell between them, filled only by Emma's delighted chatter as she pointed out ornaments on the tree, seemingly oblivious to the tension between her parents. "She's beautiful," Catherine whispered, watching Emma with a mixture of awe and regret. "She looks so much like you around the eyes and mouth." Michael wanted to stay angry, to hold on to the resentment that had kept him company on lonely nights. But seeing Catherine look at Emma with such tenderness made something shift inside him. "Would you?" Catherine hesitated, then pressed on. "Would you both like to get some hot chocolate? Just to talk for a few minutes?" Every instinct told Michael to decline, to protect himself and Emma from the pain Catherine had caused. But Emma was looking up at him with such hope that he found himself nodding before he could think better of it. They found a small table in the mall's food court, Emma happily swinging her legs as she sipped her hot chocolate, whipped cream giving her a mustache that made even the tense adult smile. "I moved back 6 months ago," Catherine explained quietly while Emma was distracted by the Christmas decorations. "I've been wanting to reach out, but I didn't know how, or if I had the right." "You gave up that right," Michael said evenly, though without the bitterness that would have colored his words a year ago. Catherine nodded, accepting the rebuke. "I know. I was young and selfish and scared. Leaving you both is the biggest regret of my life." Michael studied her face, looking for signs of the impulsive, restless woman he'd married right out of college. They had been so young, just 23, when they'd exchanged vows, and 25 when Emma surprised them both. Catherine had struggled with postpartum depression, something Michael hadn't fully understood at the time. When she left, he'd been too hurt to see beyond his own pain and the overwhelming responsibility of raising Emma alone. "What changed?" he asked, genuinely curious. Catherine took a deep breath. "I did. Therapy. A lot of it. Realizing that no career success filled the hole inside me." She looked at Emma with longing. "Missing milestones I can never get back." Emma chose that moment to look up, whipped cream on her nose. "Daddy says Santa might bring me a sister someday, but I told him I want a mommy and daddy first." Michael felt heat rise to his face. He had indeed fielded that difficult question when Emma noticed her friend's new baby sister, explaining that some children had both parents at home while others, like her, just had daddy, and that both kinds of families were filled with love. Catherine's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly. "Your daddy's been taking good care of you, hasn't he?" she asked Emma gently. "The best," Emma declared loyally. "He makes me pancakes with faces and knows all the unicorn names and never forgets to check for monsters." Catherine smiled, though Michael could see the pain in her eyes. "That sounds wonderful." Their conversation was interrupted by Michael's phone alarm. "We need to go," he said, standing up. "The toy store closes in 20 minutes, and we still need to find Emma's doll." "The Princess Sparkle one?" Catherine asked, surprising them both. Emma gasped. "How did you know?" Catherine smiled hesitantly. "I may have been keeping an eye on your daddy's social media. He posted about your Christmas list last month." Michael hadn't realized Catherine had been watching their lives from afar. The thought was both unsettling and oddly comforting. Actually, Catherine continued, reaching into one of her shopping bags, "I saw this today and thought." She pulled out a box containing the exact doll Emma had been coveting. Emma squealed with delight, while Michael stood frozen, conflicting emotions washing over him. Part of him wanted to refuse the gift, to not let Catherine step back into their lives so easily. Another part recognized the genuine regret in her eyes. "I'm not trying to buy her affection," Catherine said quietly, seeming to read his thoughts. "I just wanted to do something. Even if I never got to give it to her." Before Michael could respond, Emma looked between them with a child's perfect clarity. "Can Mommy come see what Santa brings tomorrow?" The question hung in the air between them. Michael looked at Catherine, really looked at her for the first time in years. She wasn't the same woman who had walked out. Neither was he the same hurt, angry young man she'd left behind. "That would be up to your daddy," Catherine said carefully, not overstepping. Emma turned her pleading eyes to Michael, and he felt his carefully constructed world tilting on its axis. "Please, Daddy? Family whole for Christmas?" There it was again, those two simple words that cut through years of hurt. Family whole. As if the concept was as simple as placing puzzle pieces back together. "Maybe," Michael found himself saying, surprising them both. "Your mommy and I need to talk more first. Grown-up talk." They exchanged phone numbers, the act itself surreal after years of silence. As they prepared to part ways, Emma hugged Catherine fiercely, as if afraid she might disappear. Catherine's eyes met Michael's over their daughter's head, filled with gratitude and a question. "I'll call you," he said simply. That night, after tucking an excited Emma into bed with promises that Santa would indeed find her, Michael sat in his living room looking at the Christmas tree they had decorated together. The house felt different somehow, the possibility of change hanging in the air like the scent of pine. He picked up his phone and stared at Catherine's number for a long moment before typing, "Emma's usually up by 6:30 on Christmas morning. Coffee will be ready by 6. The response came almost immediately, "I'll be there." "Thank you, Michael." When the doorbell rang softly at 5:55 a.m., Michael opened it to find Catherine standing nervously on the porch, holding a bag of fresh pastries and wearing the cautious expression of someone who knows they haven't earned forgiveness yet but desperately wants the chance to try. "Merry Christmas," she said softly. "Merry Christmas," he replied, stepping aside to let her in. They sat in the kitchen as the coffee brewed, talking in hushed tones about the years that had passed. Catherine spoke of her therapy journey, of understanding her postpartum depression had been more severe than either of them had realized, of how fear had made her run instead of asking for help. Michael shared the challenges and joys of raising Emma, how being her father had changed him in ways he never expected. "I'm not asking to disrupt the life you've built," Catherine said earnestly. If there's any way I could be part of her life, even in a small way at first." Before Michael could respond, they heard the patter of small feet on the stairs, followed by a gasp of pure joy as Emma spotted Catherine. "You came. You really came," she cried, launching herself into her mother's arms. "Santa brought you back to us." Over Emma's head, Michael and Catherine's eyes met. There was so much still to discuss, boundaries to establish, trust to rebuild, explanations Emma would need as she grew older. Nothing would be simple or easy. But watching his daughter's face illuminate with joy, Michael felt something shift in his heart. Perhaps Emma had been right with her simple, profound wisdom. Perhaps family whole didn't have to mean returning to the past, but creating something new, something honest and mindful of their history but not defined by it. As Emma dragged them both toward the Christmas tree, chattering excitedly about Santa's arrival, Michael allowed himself to consider, for the first time in years, that sometimes broken things could be mended into something stronger than before. Not perfect, but whole in their own way. That Christmas marked the beginning of a long, sometimes difficult journey for all three of them. There were therapy sessions, both individual and family, careful negotiations about Catherine's role, and many honest conversations. Emma's simple declaration, family whole, became not so much a reality as an aspiration, a North Star guiding them through complicated emotional terrain. 1 year later, as they gathered again around a Christmas tree, this time with Catherine living nearby in her own apartment but very much a present mother in Emma's life, Michael realized that sometimes the most profound changes begin with the simplest words, spoken by those who see clearly what adults have complicated. As for Catherine and Michael, they were slowly rebuilding a friendship founded on their shared love for their daughter and a more mature understanding of each other. Whether that friendship might someday grow into something more remained an open question, one they were both content to let time answer. What they knew for certain was that Emma had been right all along. They were a family, not the traditional kind perhaps, but whole in all the ways that truly mattered. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories about love, forgiveness, and the true meaning of family. Sometimes the greatest gifts can't be wrapped and placed under a tree, they come in moments of courage, forgiveness, and the wisdom of children who remind us what really matters. From our family to yours, we wish you a holiday season filled with love and healing.